Welcome back, everyone, to another installment of Real Talk with Dominic Santana. And today we also got our guest host back in the building. She finally made bail.
You know what?
No, I'm just kidding. You know, she's been globetrotting the world on vacation. You know what I mean? She's got a tan on. She's glowing.
You know what? You better stop.
You know, looking like she just came from Wakanda.
That is so funny. I cannot. Wakanda forever.
My sister.
That's it.
And then we also, if you're at home, if you're at home listening on podcast and you can't see all this greatness in here, we have another special guest, Miss Cherrie McRae.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Oh, she gave y'all the sweet because she was just talking. Her voice was
I'm
much
crank
louder
that
than
Soldier
that.
Girl song.
I know that's
right. I'm just getting warmed up for y'all beautiful people.
She was just in here yelling. She's like, "Hey, everybody, how are you doing today? I'm Cherrie."
I had to calm the C4 down. Calm down. Stay down.
Okay, so you're gonna crescendo. Okay, slowly. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're here today. Like I said, it's actually kind of a special episode to me.
Oh.
You are our first Black female in entertainment that we've had on the show, and honestly, it's probably one of the more interesting perspectives in our business. Mm-hmm. People who are not in this business or who are in this business but aren't a Black female, they don't know that it's a completely different business for you. Like even when it comes to us Black men, I had to learn it myself over the years, talking with, spending time with Black female actresses, producers, costume designers, and I had to learn that, you know, man, it's even a different world for you all, because we oftentimes are like, yeah, it's harder for minorities in this business, and we lump us all together.
Yeah.
But then when you see the pathways and the things that Black women, especially if you're attractive, have to deal with,
Right.
it's like, oh, well, we do experience biases, but damn, we don't go through half the stuff y'all go through, and we might not make as much as our counterparts, but oftentimes we make more than you all do doing the same level of work.
Oh, yeah.
And so, you know, that's what, let the people know everything that you do.
Well, I'm a native of Miami, Florida, so come on, 305 Dade County's finest. Yes. Any Miami folks out there?
Born and raised?
Born and raised.
I don't think I've ever met anyone actually born from
and
Miami.
raised, yes. And so I am an Atlanta, Georgia transplant. I've been in Atlanta pursuing this dream since 2006. And I dibble and dabble in writing, but mainly my primary focus for several years has been acting, film and television, a little bit of theater, you know. Depends on if they throw me a big enough bone, I'll go ahead and grab it. But my focus and concentration has been film and TV. And I've just joined a Directors Alliance, Alliance of Women Directors. So I'm building up my credits for roughly the past maybe 3.5 years. Made it official with the Alliance last year. And so I've written, I've produced short films, but now I want to kind of get more into feature films and episodics. So I want to kind of tag team the two worlds.
Speaking of, I saw a post of yours on your social media that you're on Young Rock. Is it today?
Oh my God, my episode was last Friday. Yes, but I mean, no. It was last Friday, but of course it's NBC Peacock. So if you didn't catch it live on NBC, then of course it runs on Peacock. But yes, season 3, that was such a fun set. Just think of a set of WWE impersonators. Like, it's just reliving your childhood all over again with the Hulk and Macho Man, all these different people.
They actually had me read for it a couple of weeks ago.
Oh my gosh!
But here was the problem. I was actually happy because I like The Rock and I like the show.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this would be kind of cool. You know? I was like, oh, this would be easy. I'll get this role. And I'm reading the role, and it's for Farouk. I don't know how familiar you are with wrestling back in the day, but I was like, Farouk. I was so pissed off.
Why though? So educate us.
Farouk is dope, but Farouk was like he was I can't remember the group, but he was him, and he was like the leader of this group that were like the super pro black, almost Black Panther wrestlers.
Oh, okay.
And The Rock ends up getting with them, and he goes from being the corny wrestler to, the rebellious bad guy when he's with them. And that's kind of where The Rock takes off, is with them. But the problem is they're dope, and Farouk is dope. The problem is Farouk is like your complexion, about 5 inches shorter than me. And I mean, he looks like he looks like Jim Brown. You know what I mean? Like, I knew this was a waste of time.
Right.
Like, they are not casting me. I look like The
funny.
Rock's cousin. How am I going to come here and play Farouk?
Right.
It would be disrespectful to Farouk,
Yeah.
first of all.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was like,
sometimes you have to just make those executive calls, because it's like they just really throw the line and just try to catch whatever they can.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely no way. And then when you actually see the episode or you see the movie, it's like, you knew who you wanted all along.
Yeah. I've actually passed on roles and sent them, like, look, I know this actor. He would be perfect.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I've done that too.
Yeah, like, and they get it and go on, and you're like, yeah, that was for them.
Thanks
It
for the
worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
So
You're fine.
so let's go back to, I want to get into who you are, a person. We know you're an entertainer and a creative and a director and a, because you're directing a film right now.
Yes,
also,
a feature
right?
film project.
You left out directing.
I said directing. I did.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, you said short films. You're directing a film right now, right?
Yes. This is my first feature film, and it's for streaming, a streaming platform.
Congratulations.
So, thank you.
Congrats.
And I am, as far as who I am, I feel like I'm just a very authentic, high energy person. I bring a lot to, any table. I am all things passion and all things creativity, artistry. I'm more about the craft than anything else. So I want to be able to, and if there's any actors out there, I want to be able to be on any given set, any given genre, and be able to have my choices be muscle memory. I don't want to have to be like, I want to get to a point where it's not, my success is not driven by, who I know, but who knows me.
Yeah.
And I am chosen because of the brevity of my work or the depth of my work. And it's like, that's my brand. That's my calling card. So when it's like, oh, we're booking Cherrie. Oh, well, you getting this. And it's, and I think that that's really who I am creatively. As far as
take us back to, we want to meet Little Cherrie. So
take us back to, oh my goodness.
Well, see, oftentimes with actors and creatives, period, the brand they become usually has a lot of influence by their experiences and the environments they came from. And so I want to know, like, how was your upbringing? Like, what was that like?
I have no complaints. I was raised in a 2-parent household.
Nice.
Also, it's kind of, not poverty, but, not middle class, maybe lower middle class neighborhood, but everyone knew everyone. And, back in the 80s, 90s, everybody, it was just a village. So everybody looked out for each other's children. And if you needed your grass cut, my dad would go down the street and cut your grass for you.
Oh, you had one of them dads.
Yeah,
the
my
neighborhood
dad.
dad.
Let me tell you, Eddie McRae is amazing. He's an amazing man. Right. My mother is as well. But I just kind of grew up where he, my dad would work anywhere from maybe 12 to 14 hours because he was a foreman, construction. So he would build the shelters or the garages for the airplanes. And so he worked that job literally for 41 years. Wow. And he retired. Wow. So hard worker, raised on a farm as a little boy. My mom definitely she was born and raised in Miami, but a lot of our family is, deep South. But at any rate, childhood was great. Like, he would get off work and I would want to go to the park after school, and he would be tired, change clothes, and we'd go up to the park on my bike. Saturdays look like...
So it's safe to say you're a daddy's girl.
Ooh, boy. Yeah. She lights up.
Shout out
and then she said, my mother's great, too.
My mom's cool.
I mean, she cool, but she was kind of boring.
So
she was kind of
She made pancakes.
Yeah, she was a homemaker, but she, that's really in our society now, more so that's what the kids are missing. Not to say mom has to, not be in the working class, but just present. But my parents were just present. I mean, I remember Easter, it was completely dressed up. They were very, religious people. We went to church every Wednesday for Bible study, every Sunday for church. And sometimes church on Sundays was all day because Sunday school.
Remember
and
days.
Then you take a break and go to most people don't understand this that don't live in Miami. But if you're in Miami, shout out to you. But we would go to the Arab store in between Sunday school and service to get our little peppermints and mints and stuff like that. And we get about $1. Like, don't spend it all in one place. And just my childhood, I was, going from primary school to maybe high school, middle school. I went to a private school, didn't want to, but I played 4 sports, volleyball, basketball, softball, and track.
What was the one you were the best at?
Oh, volleyball.
Volleyball.
But basketball, I did get all day. I got all day several times, which is basically like you get highlighted in the magazine, The Herald. And, for your points, your assists, like you just kind of hit all your marks.
So you're nice in basketball.
Man,
yeah,
I still got that money shot.
I know that's right.
I sucked at basketball.
Oh, wait
I ran track too.
Not with you being as tall as you. Oh, okay, football.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love to hit people. That was my thing.
Well, yeah.
I couldn't
comatose
get on the
Put 'em in
inside.
comas.
Right on the post, I'm good. I could drive to the basket with the best one, like you said. My height, my strength, I could do that. But you throw me the ball to shoot.
Not happening.
Yeah, it's a problem.
I was a 2 guard, so I was nice with it. But that's because my coach made me literally after practice just keep going. Everybody was in the locker room. He's like, nope, round the key. And then I went to Florida A&M University. I also played basketball in college.
Shout out to Florida A&M.
Come on, the heights of the 7 Hills.
I know you was acting up. Now you was at Florida A&M.
Hello.
No, you was acting up.
Y'all missed the cute fist pumps you just did, though. I like it. So yes. Okay.
Rattler Pride, and so nice. HBCU, and then from there, just went back home to Miami from Tallahassee.
But you just glossed past that. What was your degree in?
Oh, business administration.
Nice.
And I had a concentration in human resource management. Oh. So when I went back to Miami.
So you were about to go corporate.
Similarities.
I was corporate. I was a corporate trainer for several years, and I loved it. For a while. Yeah, I was literally. Yeah, they did. Too. Yeah. I was literally 23 years old, making darn near $45,000. So I was like, whoa! Right. So my parents were like, slow down before you wreck out. We need to save. And I was like, no, just get a credit card. I don't want to spend my check. And then just, that's a whole nother road. But yeah, went back to corporate America, enjoyed it. But then after a while, it just got too political. And then it was like, oh, we need you to, even though we said that this was your, just your core functions, everything else started getting thrown in there. Yeah. I was starting to have managerial duties and bring people in the office and write them up. I was like, well, I'm a corporate trainer. Like I have new hires for 2 weeks. I train them. We have computer terminals in the classroom, and then I send them on the floor off wherever they're going to whatever branch or office. But it was like, well, we kind of got to have all hands on deck. And so I got frustrated with that when my pay was increased at 3%, but then the job functions was
that increased 12%.
Right.
And so that's where I landed until I ended up here. And before I moved here, I worked for Humana Healthcare, which was pretty good, very good company. But then I got tired of just seeing the same people in the same way, in the same clubs.
Money will feed your habits and your lifestyle.
Yeah,
but,
it was
short-lived.
Yeah. And I think deep down we know who we are, Deep down we know who we are, but sometimes the safety net is even that more enticing, especially when you have no one that is the leading example for creativity.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if they
we're also taught that.
Yeah.
I'm taught that. Go for the safety net.
Right. The pension. And I mean, I have postal workers in my family. A lot of people work at the port of Miami. Just blue collar stuff,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
postal workers.
Because it's all of us. We're taught to be workers, especially if you go to public school. They teach you how to be a good worker.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Even
sell
the
you the
family
American
dynamic.
dream.
That's what it is.
Yeah, sell you the American dream. Your family will do the rest.
Yeah.
Because they all
Yeah.
came up in the same system.
That's it.
And you'll always sadly, you have a lot of people. You have those few family members in the family somewhere whose passions got lost and they ended up on a jacked up road.
Right.
Because that's what when you see people end up on drugs and they end up in this craziness and all that. I feel like at some point, and I'm no therapist or doctor, but I feel like at some point those were the people who didn't have an outlet
Right.
or no pathway opened up for their passions, and so they were just reaching for any way
For anything.
to get a hold of that lane.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
a lot of times you'll find the bad lanes, and then now you're jacked up, and then you become the person in the family
Right.
where all the other people who went for the safety net go, you want to end up like them, do you?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I do have, Lord, I should have stayed with an instrument, a musical instrument, because I do have family members. That's their outlet. It's music. I mean, I have a few cousins that, you know, they can sing Jennifer Hudson down a whole tunnel
I got the
and
same.
riffs and everything. And then I have, you know, cousins, you know, play percussion and guitar and drum, you know, all kind of stuff, but in church.
Yeah.
And we're good.
Yeah.
But that was their
It's a
four
limit.
walls.
Yeah.
But that was their outlet. But it was still like, you are really good. Like, have you ever considered pursuing this, that? And it's like, oh, no. Because you didn't have nobody else to just kind of like push the envelope
Push you
and
off
say,
that
you're
ledge.
capable.
So what was it about you being around this? See, me, I was fortunate. So my father was quite the opposite. My father was a military man. So my father was all about, you know, structure, discipline, and that
yeah.
safety net.
Yeah.
Like, do something that can set your future up. Because oftentimes, until you see somebody do it, oftentimes you don't have no connection to anybody that's done it. You know, it's like it's unrealistic.
Yeah.
And so your goals and dreams and passions seem unrealistic to them. And you know, just like even with my father, there was nothing nefarious about him telling me, you need to really think. I'm like, well, I'm going to go do this. You need to really think about your future. And I'm like,
Said it like that.
Yeah,
That much emphasis.
Yeah, like I just told
Because
you.
you know, back in the day, our parents they didn't see outside the box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like,
Well,
what are you doing?
tradition.
Well, when they're coming from like him, he's from Puerto Rico. And you grow up poor and working in a shoe factory and looking for a way out. And for him, the military was a much better situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he had a big family that, you know, he had to help take care of. And, you know, eventually had us. So he had another family, you know, his core family he had to take care of. And so you look at, okay, how do I take care of these responsibilities?
Yeah.
You
And
know?
the amenities and the assets give a silver lining for people that don't, you know,
Yeah.
it's like, well, you're going to give me this and this and this and this. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Family taken care of.
And when they're looking at
Thank
you,
God.
Yeah.
when they're looking at you, like, do you know what I went through so that you don't have to live the life that I came from?
Heard that.
Right. And so then you kind of feel a little guilty. Well, not me, but a lot of people felt guilty, feel guilty about like, I can't waste their sacrifice. Let me go, you know, get my degree. Let me go do, you know, become this. I had a friend of mine, kind of a crazy story. She's a comedy agent in Los Angeles. Does some of everything though. She's the plug. But see, her main thing is she's an agent for, you know, big name comedians.
Right.
And when I met her, it's an Asian chick, and really cool, really dope. And we were just talking, and I found out that she was actually an entertainment lawyer for some years. And I was like, this is why the Asian part is important. I was like, wait a minute, how do you go from being an entertainment attorney in LA to being a comedy agent? And then she was telling me, you know, because of her family was, you know, her parents were traditional Asian parents. They were like everybody, because I think she's like her brother's a doctor and a sister's a, you know, a doctor or surgeon or something. And it's like everybody's got to, you go into school, you get a degree, you're going to be a doctor, lawyer,
look really
or
good on paper, right?
Right. And so she did what, her part was, went to law school, following not her passions, but what her parents were teaching, telling her to go for, and made it all the way through, passed the bar, became an entertainment attorney. He was making great money, but was completely unhappy. Wow. And so she said eventually, she's still being an entertainment attorney in LA. She loved comedy. So she was still like going around, hanging at comedy clubs, meeting people and stuff like that. And that was just like, this is my world.
Yeah.
And she said one day she was like, bump this. I want to be happy.
Right.
So I'm going to go. And she stopped being a lawyer.
All
them years of school, all that,
the
the school money and all that, the debt. She, I don't care. I want to go be happy. And that's what she does and has been doing for years.
I really honestly believe like destiny has a timeline and it has a timetable. And she had to intercept that at that time because it probably wasn't time for her to do it beforehand because she wouldn't have known what to do with it. So you always have that level of enlightenment where, that spiritual light bulb comes on. And whether you resist or not, it's going to happen because it's just destined for you.
Yeah.
But I notice a lot of times that we try to, either we're unaware, we are not woke, or we get to a point where we just get completely frustrated. Yeah. And then God is like, okay, I got these, I got a full bundle of blessings right here, but you want to continue to go this route. But, destiny will never fail you. And when I think of that story, I think of so many other people, again, who like to look structured on paper because it feeds the ego, and it feeds the family's ego and the lineage of egos. So it's a generational thing. But once you get to that point where you branch out, there has to be a certain level of courage and confidence to say, I'm going to do this. Yeah. And people are threaded with that. Some just don't tap in.
Yeah. It's like my mother, that was my saving grace. Yeah. My mother was a singer. And it's funny, too, because her song on YouTube, I don't know why. And it's not like I go looking for it often or whatnot. But, like, literally found her song on YouTube one day. So she was in a scenario with a band she was in. Yeah. And the band was really good. And this is talking about early 80s or early to mid 80s. So, that era, that kind of music. It's more like funk, and I don't know all the details, but their band really kind of started to take off. But then they had this manager that was funky and took off to Europe with it and sold their music over there, but didn't tell them. So their music was over there blowing, like they were a big deal. They had a record out that was like a big deal in Europe, but they didn't know it, and he was just keeping the money, from my understanding. Man. And so, but the band disbanded, like that was all, because they were like military. This was Fort Bragg, Fayetteville, North Carolina. So they were like military by day, and except her, she was a military wife. And then by night, they were either rehearsing or playing a gig. Yeah. Right. And so the band kind of disbanded, life happened, et cetera, right? And so all these years, they eventually found out that he did that, but they didn't know anything else much beyond that. Right. And so I come across this old radio, a radio station in London that plays old school music. And on one of the playlists on their YouTube, I seen the name of her band. I was like, there's no way it's that. It must be something different. Because he did start a whole nother band with the same name. Their funky manager. So I'm like, it's probably, one of them, whatever. And I play it. And of course, I know my mom's voice. Right. And then playing it. And I was like, I wonder when's the last time she's heard this song. Did you send it to her? Yeah, I sent it to her. Yeah. And
what did she say?
She just thanked me and, who knows?
Yeah.
Wow. How'd you feel hearing it? Were you like, whoa?
It was crazy hearing my mom's 20-year-old voice. Yeah. Or 21. She was young, you know what I mean? And then being older than she was then now, and just, having that perspective of like, it's my mom. Like, I remember me at 20 and 21, like, wow, you have the whole world in front of you in your mind. Right there. And then she was really good, 6 foot, beautiful, could sing, and so, but then life happens. Yeah. And one of her biggest regrets that she taught to us was listening to people. There were times she wanted to go to LA. There were times where they'd open up for somebody like Shaka Khan wanted to take her out on, with them to be one of her backup singers. And it was like, you get killed or kidnapped on the road. Yeah. Or the religious side of you need to be singing for the Lord. The Lord is going to make everything you do fail if you don't do it for him. And so, growing up in that, so when we came along, her whole thing was like, because, life went crazy for her, and her big thing was don't listen to other people. You follow your heart. Yeah. You have these talents, you go do them. Because I was telling my mom I wanted to be an actor when I was a kid. I had a whole plan. I was going to go to the NFL. I'm like 10 years old, like making this plan. I'm going to go to the NFL because I'm that good. I didn't even have the size yet.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm going to go to NFL. I'm going to play 6 years, retire early. I know I'm going to be a superstar, and because I'm going to work hard and make it happen. I'm going to take all that money and that stardom, and I'm going to go over to film, and then I'll work that career while I'm still young and virile, and I won't have to worry about money or anything because I'll already have made several million. Yeah, and then I'll pursue film that way. I'm a kid thinking this. Right. Because I had somebody around me, no matter what our environment was. Yeah, she was like, don't listen to people. And then
it always helps to have a dreamer that precedes you. That's like, listen.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Telling you, don't live life with regrets. And sometimes it has to be drilled in you because of fear. But it always helps to have a dreamer that has gone ahead of you and can be like, oh, I'm 40, but at 20, I did X, Y, Z. Yeah. And man, if I could just turn back the hands of times. But one thing about time is you can't get it back, you know. So and life is not a dress rehearsal.
And tell me if you, tell me if you feel this way about, like we were talking about destiny and opportunities. I always compare it to the opportunities will show. Whatever your passion is, whatever the gifts God gave you, He will always give you the opportunities. That's how it works. How do you know, is this really my passion or my talent? Are there any opportunities that ever just pop up for you to use them? I ain't talking about just making money. I'm talking about just opportunities to use them. Yeah. Do they ever pop up? No. That's probably not your gift. Right. The thing that pops up for you or the thing you love to do and can do with ease.
Effortlessly.
Right. The thing you would do for free because you need to do it. That hits home. Yeah, that's your gift, and you can have more than one gift. Yeah. But it's like those opportunities. It's like they'll pop up, and it's like I envision it like a circular window. They'll pop up, and then it's like
it'll start shrinking. Yep.
And then boom, it's gone if you don't jump through it, like you were talking about earlier. Yeah. And then somewhere along the way, God will be like, okay, maybe you're ready now.
Yeah, I think ultimately it is a holding pattern, but it's not released until it's just this intuition or this thing you can radiate that you're ready.
That's right.
Because I think in essence you know universally it knows when you're ready because you exude a different level of action and activity and focus. Like you ever seen people who are so laser focused, it didn't matter what kind of event you had, a best friend getting married, somebody having a baby, they was like, and they always used to get talked about. Like, I remember being that person that talked about like that focused person. I'm like, live life, YOLO. Yeah. But just like Kobe Bryant, maybe that is their YOLO.
That's right.
That is their YOLO. All I want to do is sit here after my team practices and have my shots. 100 shots every day.
Greatness.
And what you can't do in conjunction with destiny, what you can't do is dictate what you feel or project what you feel each person should be doing in their life.
That's right.
And then ultimately, as the person or the doer or the dreamer, you have to be strong enough to drown out the noise. Yeah. Because you don't know what people's motivations or motives are. Because they feel like, well, we started out at the same point. We started out the blocks at the same time. Somehow it looks like you're reaching your finish line quicker. So be mindful of, your tribe or just people that,
who you keep around you.
It makes a world of a difference,
I have a question for you. So when did you, because I know that you were running track and you were doing different things at school and then doing corporate. When did you tap into your creative side? Like what?
Oh,
did
I don't
that
even
for you?
want to tell that story. I tell that
That's
story
the story we want to hear, huh?
Right.
every public
got to
platform. Oh my gosh. And I know people are so tired of hearing this.
It's all
We
right.
ain't heard
I
it.
just
That's
literally
right.
told this to somebody. I can't name it now. So I'll jump right in so that I can give Cliff Notes. I think I've always had it. It's just one of those little molecules that just go around in your body. It's always been there.
Waiting for you.
It's like, and then it turns into this big old cactus bushel, whatever those things in the westerns that just tumbleweeds.
Yep.
Tumbleweed,
And
yeah.
it just gets faster and more powerful. So I want to say, and I hope that none of my family members are listening, but I want to say it started as a young girl when my grandmother kept pushing me. God rest her soul. She kept pushing me, go up there, baby, and sing. And I always had big personality.
Right.
I always had big personality, but I didn't know it was big personality because, as African American families, when you talk a lot and you're energetic, they say, "Go and sit down somewhere, girl. You just
Go on
make them a
outside.
nerve
Doing
bad.
too much.
That's all they make them a nerve bad." And I didn't know what that meant. I just was like, let me not be hard headed and just go sit down somewhere in the corner. So I'm gonna park that, and then going to when I knew, I have it's a two-part. I have a feeling that something was festering in me when I was at FAM, but every summer of my 4-year term, I would go back home, and my parents, even though they had it, they would always say, "You need to get you a job. You need your own money." So I remember getting a job at Claire's before it turned into the icing. And I work with a young lady that every time she come into work, she would be rushing in and rushing out. Like, what the heck what's happening?
Right.
And my mind wasn't as gutter driven as it is today. So I'm like, what is this girl doing? She run in, go to the register, clock in, and I'm like, what is happening? What's wrong with you? So she didn't tell me for a long time. People, actors tend to try to keep stuff under wraps because you hate the question, what were you in?
Right.
Yeah. What have I seen you in
Right.
before?
I absolutely
what you watch,
hate
fool?
that question.
Yeah.
So maybe that was her then, but I didn't know. I was what you would call a civilian. So I wasn't really in artistry yet. And so one day we were at work by ourselves because Catrice was, she wasn't a general manager. She was a floor manager. And she was just so hard on us. And she was like, you need to stand over there. And you need to stand over there. If somebody come in, you give them a basket. So we always used to be like, Catrice was at work. We was like, oh God, it's going to be so boring because we can't talk. She wasn't at work one day. Baby, them customers came in. We was like, so if it was a secret shopper, we was in trouble. So we was like, we were just going. So she felt comfortable enough. That day, she wasn't on set prior to, and she didn't have to go. But that day, she just felt so comfortable, and she was like, yeah, da-da-da. And I said, so what is it that you do that you rushing in here, or you're always tired, you got dark circles on the eyes? I was like, girl, what's going on? And she was like, well, don't tell nobody, but I'm on this urban TV series, and you kind of film episodes in blocks. So that's when it was really rigorous, and that's why she was just like, 3 wheels getting in the parking lot. So I was like, tell me more. Okay, kind of interesting. So she went through the whole thing. She's like, yeah, you should come one day. I was like, oh, no, that's your thing. You do that. I just was being nosy.
Right.
So fast forward a couple months, the opportunity came up again. And she said, it's so fun. And, she just kind of made everything seem like you're missing out.
Right.
And she said, you can come. The director doesn't mind. It's real bootleg. And I was like, bootleg? And it was bootleg. I ain't gonna lie. It was an urban television show. But it's one of those. You ever like watch Tubi or something like that? Like one of those hood flicks that it's like a guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
That's what this show was. It was like a very like urban Days of Our Lives. And it was on Channel 33. I never forget. And that was a station, but the time it came on was like 1 a.m. So end up going on set. One of the main actors didn't show up because she ended up getting sick. And so they was like, what are we going to do? Now, mind you, I'm just walking in and I'm like, hey, girl, just check you out, support. So I go stand in the corner and I'm like, okay, it was a lot of pandemonium. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like, how do people, it just is a lot going on. It was chaotic. But you can tell they were a nucleus and they were like a family because they've been doing it for a long. This was somebody's crazy, just, around the way idea. And they just took pen to paper and just wrote it. And people fell in love with it. They had viewership. So speeding the story up, the young lady was sick. She didn't show up. So they're like, what are we going to do with her part? We can't exit out. It's, it's a very pivotal piece to, the story. And so here, my friend... So I didn't know because they're all over there and just picture me maybe somewhere over there staying out the way. So I didn't know she's talking to the director. I just saw her like this, but I thought she was saying, my girlfriend is here to whatever. Come to find out, she was like, well, she can read it. Huh? So he was like, hey, how you doing? Shook my hand. I'm this, that, and the other. So he had to really go from like baby steps to like what he was asking me to do and if I was open to it. And I said, so wait a minute now. I have to do what now? I can't read this. He was like, no, baby girl, you on camera. So I'm like, I got to memorize this. And I remember college with memorizing, answers for final exams and stuff. And I'm like, I'm not good at memorizing stuff. I be having a little cheat sheet under my thing looking. Right. So that's how it all started. I ended up being thrown in. And after that experience, it was just kind of like, how do I get that adrenaline rush back? Like, how do I get that?
In Miami still? Or
yeah, this was Miami. And I was like, how? And I only did it one time because, of course, she wasn't sick for any other episodes.
What did it feel like?
It just felt like a high without drugs. Like, it felt like, how can I do that again without bothering the person that I know can put me in that same position? And then I had too much of an ego where I wasn't going to ask to be a part. So I just let it go, but it never left me. And then the secondary thing was when I was in school and I waited till the last minute to do my classes. And I had up to so many credits and I really needed an elective. The only elective that was left because I waited so late to go to my advisor was theater appreciation. One thing about theater appreciation professors, they take that serious. And I'm like, oh, easy, A.
I could do it.
This going
That's like, what is it, jazz theory or something? You'd be like,
it's going to be easy.
It'll be dead serious.
But the one thing about, theater professors, regardless of what institution, they did that in real life. They just happened to be adjunct. So this fella right here was like SWATs and this and that and putting together, center stage, left. And I was just like, you're giving us paper exams? Jeez. What? I was like,
stuff we watch?
On stuff on theater. Wow. Who would think of this? Only you. But it was because that is really that's their passion, you know. So that's the secondary component to that. And it took some time to get back there, but once it's in you, it never leaves you. Yeah. And then I graduated, got into corporate, and it was like, even in my odd jobs of doing different things, people were like, oh, you're different. Because I always want to talk to people. Like, you're supposed to be in the office, doing your work, closing the door. I used to have to submit times for my people and, put in chronos. And I'm out here talking to the people on the floor. Girl, and so they used to always say, especially when I wasn't at work, they was like, oh, it's so boring. And then when I would come, I would talk, and it was like, it's something different about you. Like, you don't belong here. I've heard that so many times because I just didn't fit into a structured environment. That's right. I would always break open that box. Like,
what's your sign?
Aquarius. That's
Oh God, Aquarius.
what is the meaning of that? I just found out maybe the summertime that there's 2 type of Aquarius. And I was like, okay. I was
That's
like,
2 type, all right.
That is fun.
it was like, are you a January Aquarius or February? I was like, wait a minute, is this a trick question? Because I don't know the zodiac like that. But
I was asking because you sound like just listening to you talk and about how you are, you sound more like a Leo or Aries.
oh, see, I don't even know. I just born in January. Just that's it. But that's how I got acclimated with it. And
So when do you end up moving to Atlanta to pursue film?
well, I moved in 06 because when I finished at FAM, I wanted to come straight to Atlanta. But it wasn't, I mean, according to, energies or, just timestamps, it wasn't time as far as, just a destiny. It wasn't time. I chalk it up to that because Tallahassee and Atlanta, we used to come back and forth for Atlanta Classic all the time. So very familiar with, coming that distance. And my main thing was when I finished school, I was going north and not back south because I felt going south was going backwards. Like once I got my degree, the expectation was like, oh, get those internships in New York or work, Price Waterhouse Coopers and this and that and get you a good job. Don't come back here. So when I did go back to Miami for a while, I kind of felt like, dang, like back to the same old people, same old places.
What am I doing?
Low
You
key.
run into people and like, oh, what you doing back?
Right.
Like you failed or
I
something.
still hate that. I still hated that, but it was still familiarity because when my car broke down, my dad was there. They bought me my first car anyway. And then just always financially, just they were stable. And so it was uncomfortable, but it was comfortable at the same time. But I ended up back here in 06 because I just wanted to change the scenery. I was like, I'm done. Like people in Miami is nothing against the city, but you can get pulled in or sucked in this vacuum of, I just felt like it was more the life than South Beach. It was more the life than going to the club every Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, sometimes even Sunday night for day parties. So you got 4 days that you saw the same people in the same places all the time. And the ladies would go to the mall after they get their paycheck and just get a wardrobe for the club that night.
To go out.
Drinking, smoking. It was just,
Same thing.
I'm like, I don't want to get caught in this. And I felt different. When you're around people, it's like, I would fall asleep in the club. And I was like, girl, what? Girl, wake up. I ain't falling asleep in the club. It's loud. You right by
outgrowing it.
You right by the speaker. You still.
I've done that once.
No. So I did, after a while, as Spirit would have it, I just didn't fit in no more. I didn't fit into the culture. And when I came to Atlanta, that's when everybody was like, you from Miami? What would bring you to Atlanta? And I was like, just the same thing where ATLians would go other places, and it's like, why are you here, Atlanta? The Mecca, the chocolate city, Same thing. I say, you just get tired of the same old, hamster wheel.
Right.
So end up here and.
So what was your
Not here, but here.
Yeah, I wasn't. You've been saying here the whole time.
I'm like, I am not in Atlanta right now. I'm so used to saying here.
What was your first union role, or your first? It can be your most pivotal, where you were like, I'm really doing this role.
Yo, when you said about getting that opportunity and how it closes. I'm going to tell you one thing. The fear for me was not having the money. I got the role. I did Billions. And Billions, yes, Billions was local hire though. When I got it. And it was an understanding that it was local hire.
You don't understand film.
I'm sorry, y'all.
It sucks when you live in a city, or even if you don't live in the city, but they only want to hire you. That means they're not going to pay for travel, hotel, and you're going to get paid less money.
They just paying you for the job.
Right.
So, but I was excited. I was like, oh my God, when you speak of, first SAG project. And I was excited and I didn't tell anybody else because I didn't want anyone talking me out of it. But I wasn't on an artist salary, but I was just working a bunch of temp agencies because I don't know. It's just like I didn't even want to work. I just wanted to be on set.
That's right.
And so I was doing temp because long-term jobs will fire you anyway. You miss so many days before your 60 days, 90-day probation. So I remember working this temp and wasn't making a whole lot of money. And this was years ago. But when I got booked for it, I was like, oh, my God. So you're excited and simultaneously you're nervous and then you're fearful. And then you be like, I don't got no money. So how we going to make this work? And then who can you legitimately borrow from and explain?
Right.
Because then even if you pay them back, you get checked and then you got to pay somebody back. But I was like,
where was it shooting?
New York.
Oh, so you had to travel.
I had to go to New York. So I had to book, because, the expectation is if they book you, they are like literally just sending you like 12 million emails, wardrobe, this, that. And they said, okay, you're on set this day. Make sure you have, flexibility with these dates. It's not even the fact that you just get to fly Friday and film Monday. It's not structured.
Right.
It just depends on how the days before went.
Wow.
As if they're going to stay on schedule.
Oh, wow.
I'm nervous. I'm like, Lord, I'm sweating. Oh, Lord.
You're
okay.
Sleeping in the subway?
I was going to sleep on something. And I said, but I got to go. Because I got to show God that I mean what I pray. I mean what I say. And I said, if I don't do this, he may not open up other doors because it's like, oh, that girl playing. She don't really want this.
Can you say that again? A lot of people don't. Don't get that part.
Yeah, with the praying and
people do a lot of praying, but they miss that part.
I had to show God that I am doing what I pray. Like I really want this, God. I want it bad, but it's a lot of times. I believe some portion of the word says, "Be anxious for nothing." But I was nervous, and I was like, God, I want this. I want this so bad. And if this is opening up a door for network, because I always am, I'm a full-time television and film actor. I said that all the time. That was one of my affirmations. I said that all the time. I said, I'm a professional actor. I'm a well-sought-out actor. And I would say this at work. I would say this in the bathroom. I would be pissed because I got to come back from lunch in 30 minutes.
Right.
And I would say these affirmations to keep me going. Boom, billions. I said, put up or shut up. So I was like, okay,
I want to add one thing to that real quick because I really want the people watching or listening to really get that.
Yeah.
How right she is. My first film was called 20 Funerals.
20 Funerals.
It's very hard to find now, and I hope it stays hard to find. I'm proud that I got my first role, but oh my God, for me it was it's not a good look. And so I went crazy. It just, the makeup was bad. The role wasn't
just
great.
Don't let it see the light of day.
Yeah, it was all bad. It was a little cheap movie back then. So you can imagine with technology, mid 2000s. And I was working, the last job I had, early 20s. And last job I had was selling cars. That was my version of corporate world. And I always felt like I was suffocating every day anyway, but I remember I got the offer to come audition for the role. Now, mind, this is a little independent film. This is not even union. You know what I mean? And so I know if I'm getting paid, it ain't going to be much of nothing.
Yeah.
And selling cars, at one point I had gotten really good at it listening to the guys that were teaching me. And so we're making anywhere from 7 to 9, 10 grand a month, right? So my money is good, right? But I had no life because in car, if anybody knows about car sales, you're 6 days a week, all day. So you got plenty of money in the bank, but you have no life. You trade your life for it.
Right.
But anyway, so I remember going to my boss, and it was a friend of mine I had done some plays, some theater stuff with, and he was like, "Hey, look, I'm working with this small company, Swirl Films." Was the name of it. They're down at ATL. Shout out Swirl.
Well, they started here, right?
Yeah.
Because
so Eric's first movie was my first movie as an actor. So his first movie as a producer, we did it. That's how we met.
Oh my God.
Way back. Yeah, I've known him since the very beginning. And shout out to Eric Thomas. But so my boy Micah Noble, you know Cheka? Okay, so Cheka.
So
Cheka I've known for years, and Cheka was the one who called me, and he was like, Santana. He always called me by my last name. Santana. I'm working with this company, Swirl Films. They're about to do this little movie. They need a big dude for this role. I told him about you. How soon can you get down here to Screen Gems? So I was like, how long I got? He was like 20 minutes. So I told my boss, I was like, my
Pressure.
man. Yeah, I was like, but this goes back to what you were saying.
Yeah.
Because I was, I'm like, God, I'll step up. It don't matter. Anyway. So I went to my boss. I was like, my man, I got to go for a little bit. And he's like, what? He's like, yeah, I got to roll for a couple of hours, but I'll be back. And he was like, to do what? And I said, because then they all know I wanted to be in film. I was always talking about it. I was like, I got an audition for this movie, my first movie role, my boy is involved, so I got a good chance. I got to go do this. And he was like, just leaving work in the middle of the day to go do an audition.
That's what he said?
Yeah. And I said, you not understand what I'm saying. I said, I got to go do this. And he was like, well, you're not just going to leave the job in the middle of the day, so you need to choose. Either you're going to go keep your job or you're going to go do this audition. I said, well, my man,
I'm out.
It's been
I'm going to be going doing this audition. Like, hey, this ain't what I do. That's what I do.
Ooh.
And he looked at me. Yeah, and now mind you, somebody you never seen in movies and TV at that time at all, telling you this ain't what I do. That's what I do. Headed, right. And so he understood, like, oh, this dude's not playing. Like, like, keep the job, brother. I'm out. And he was like, he looked at me for a second, and he was like, damn it, Dominic. He's like, look, just go do your audition and bring your ass back to work. Right. And you better sell 2 cars a day.
Oh, my God.
But I looked him dead in his face, like, bro.
Like, don't play.
It didn't want even like a thinking moment. Right. It wasn't like, oh, man, let me think. Right. He said, either you choose your job or you go do that audition. I said, well, I'll holler. Because mind you, I don't know what I was going to do after that, because this job was this audition, if I got the role, was like, it was a day player.
There is a sea of jobs out there, okay?
One day, with maybe making $100, which I didn't make nothing. I got copy and credit.
Right.
And so I would have lost my job making $8,000 a month to go get paid nothing for a day of work.
But isn't that the risk we take? Like, it's just risque. Like, that be what keep us young. That be what keep us, like, enthralled and stuff. And just like no 2 days are the same. Like that's what the world doesn't get. Yeah.
And then I ended up doing, over the years, like 6 or 7 films with Swirl. And they got bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah. And we did Love for Sale. That was my first taste of some fame, at least amongst black folks. Yeah. Nobody else knew who I was. Only black people knew who I was at that time. But that's the thing. Imagine if I'd have gave in on the first thing when he said, either you're fired and you can go do an audition, or you can stay here and do your job. Yeah. Imagine if I'd been like, okay, let me just take the safe route. I wouldn't have done none of those movies that constantly led me. And you can see how big Swirl Films is now. Yeah. That constantly led me to.
They own it now. Yeah. I'm like, good Lord, y'all just. But that's that tenacity.
I was there when Keith got brought in. Like,
really?
I go way back. Yeah.
Oh man, but that is tenacity in human form. Like, that's just, I feel with us, that's what a lot of people wish they had. They wish they had, if they could just bottle it and sell it, it would sell out. Yeah. Just that, like that warm, fuzzy sensation for something. And that's why a lot of motivational videos, because I listen to a lot of, it's called Motiversity, but I listen to a lot of, Eric Thomas and they say stuff like that. They say, want it more than your next breath. Yeah. And people are looking for that. And I think AKA purpose or fulfillment, something that fills you up to where it can hold you for a season. And then stuff does get slow for us, but it's like just just that drive or that, what if this next audition is it? It's like the what if keeps you going. And then while you're in it, and when you meet a community of other actors who are in it, and then you share stories, and it's like, oh, I went through that too, and you went through that. Exactly. And you become a family, and then you move on to the next thing. You realize
we're all different type of people. Like, when you get around them, it's like, oh, my people. Okay, you speak my language.
Yes. And everybody else is on the outside. Yeah. And I think that it does take those kahunas to say, I'm out because we just are like notorious risk takers, and that's what is required. And it's not just limited to the industry. Entrepreneurs jump off the cliff. I had my Paul Brunson, really one of my friends from way back in the day. I met him on a BET set. I forget what show it was. All Together. What's that show with the couples? All Together, All in One, something like that. But at any rate, he was making 6 figures. And that's why I tell people sometimes this is a lonely career, because when you start, incorporating wives and husbands and kids, then you got to incorporate them in your decisions. But he literally quit his architectural job, 6 figures, and went into celebrity matchmaking. Oh, wow. And his wife was like, what? We doing what? We have a home, we have a mortgage, we have all this good stuff. But I say that to say, even with those other industries or those other occupations that you're not, completely relying on a safety net, I'm telling you how much you're going to make and what you're going to do, and the glass ceiling, right? So he went into matchmaking. His wife was a little, he tells the story all the time. But I tell you, one day, Oprah found him because he did stuff like this. And he did blogs. And he was just trying to get clients. Right. Because he had named himself before that was his title. And he said, I'm a celebrity matchmaker. Ooh. And he kept saying it. And he introduced himself, I'm a celebrity matchmaker. And as the universe would have it, Oprah ended up finding him. I don't know if it was an article or a radio interview. I don't know what it was, but she ended up finding him. And she's more so like, tell me more. Because she was building the own network. And she wanted people like the Dr. Phils, Yana Van Zants, and different people to come on there and just build this network of different genres of segments. And she ended up going on the show, and his following blew up.
I know it did.
And then everybody started. Yes. I mean, then it was more so emails, but not DM, but everybody was emailing him. And Paul would say to this day, his wife would sit back and be like, I never expected this. As a leader, and it took a lot to say, this is what we're doing. Because your belief got to catch up, but this,
I know where I'm headed.
You've got.
This is my vision. Just trust me.
When I talk to younger actors, and I tell them, you've got to know it before everyone else. The first, and like you said, around anything, any dream or whatnot, the first person to know who you are is you.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
That's the only way you get there, is to know what it is. Like you said, how your boy was walking around going, I'm a celebrity matchmaker. Now, to some people, they might be like, what the hell is he talking about?
You know how many architecture.
Times? I have a friend of mine that I did a lot of business with as we had gotten older. But I remember, because I used to be a bouncer too at night back in the, like, when I was 20 or whatever. And we still laugh about it to this day. He was like, man, you remember when we were cleaning the club one night? Because this is back when the bouncers had to fight people all night and then clean the club up afterward. And we sitting there cleaning the club. It's 3:30 in the morning. Everybody's ready to go home. And I'm talking about the movie star I'm going to be. And he looked at me. He was like, all right, we know you're going to be a big actor and everything, but right now, can you just act like you cleaning this, grab that broom, act like you cleaning this damn club so we get out of here.
Yeah.
And that was a moment we still laugh about all these years later. And he was like, yo, you really did that shit. Like, I remember we believed in you, but it was just kind of like, but the whole time, even when I'm sweeping club floors, I knew who I was and I knew what I was going to do. And like, even when I did, All Eyes on Me, we did the whole, premieres and all of this stuff, and I had people ask me, I would be losing my mind if I was co-starring in worldwide theaters. Like, you seem so calm, like it's not. And I'd explain to him, I said, I've seen this moment so many times over a decade. I've always seen this moment. I've walked in it in my mind. Matter of fact, the suit you see me in on the red carpet was the suit that was in my mind when I would see it.
Manifestation.
I was just finna say that.
Got it custom.
Manifestation at
got
its
it
finest.
custom made. And let me tell you, you know how powerful that is. Now the suit I bought had it custom, done and stuff. But the shirt I'm wearing on the red carpet, which was the shirt that was in my mind, was actually when the movie was getting close to coming out. It was a good shout out to More Couture. There was a guy with a little small company called More Couture here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and he reached out to me and he was like, we have a special thing with our shirts. So you can go on their site and it's like dress shirts and really nice, cool, out of the box kind of stuff and almost regal looking too. And he was like, but you go and you can't just buy it off the rack. You put in your sizes, you pick the shirt you want and put in your sizes and they custom by your sizes and send it to you.
Yeah.
And he was like, we'd love for you to wear it on the red carpet. We'll give it to you free if you sport it on the red carpet. And I was like, well, let me see what this shit is. And I was like, oh, damn. Like, yeah, I want that one.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah. And so I didn't even go have that shirt made. He reached out to me because of the movie and offered it up. And I was like, that's the shirt.
See.
And I wore it with the suit that I did buy. So everything you see on the red carpet, I even have a gold cigar in my hand that was also brought to me. It's literally a cigar that was wrapped in gold flakes from Humboldt Gorillas, I think it is. Again, the movie, they wanted some promotion and asked me to, if I wanted the gold, they'd make gold wrapped cigars and blunts and, all kind of stuff. And so it was like everything in my vision all these years. I didn't even know what movie it was going to be for in my vision. I just saw myself and I walked in it. Yeah. So that's important. You have to know.
You have to see it before you see it.
Right.
Yeah.
So when everybody's screaming my name and I'm signing autographs, I remember the times.
I
remember times dumping out trash. And I'm like, one day, I know who I am. This is all part of it. I got to do this to get there.
Process. Yeah. Wow.
Process.
Man, and when you tell these stories and, even people who are inspired by your work, they're inspired by it, but they foot stuck to take the first step. And they say, well, how do you do it? And I say, you probably have to just gain the confidence of jumping off the cliff and then just being caught. Because I can't teach confidence and I can't teach fearlessness.
Right.
It's just something you just have to one day wake up and say, you know what? I'm going to do it.
Right.
And then you just do it. And again, destiny intercepts. What's destined to be will always be. What's for you never misses you, right?
That's true.
So you jump and then you come back and you say, you know what? I jumped.
Yeah.
I'm in the club.
Right.
And it's like, yes, now you see how it feels. Now each one teach one. But you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them, visualize things to fruition. Yeah. That's a real thing.
You bring them a horse to water, but you can't make them think.
You can't.
Not think.
But
that's true.
We do have to start wrapping it up. I see the lights going.
Yeah, I saw it. It took me everything not to look up. I was like,
it was such a great segment.
But that's a perfect lead off with those jewels and that wisdom that you just gave. You made some very valid points, and I hope if you're watching or listening that you find that inspiration within that, because she just gave you some real good game. She gave some real good game, and I can tell you from experience that everything she said is pure truth and on point. So, but before we get out of here, anything you have coming out that you want the people to know about, please let them know, and let them know where they can find you on social media or any websites.
Well, I'll start with social media because that's easier. I am on IG, and that is Cherrie McRae, CHERRIE, McRae, MCRAE _ IG. And Twitter is Cherrie, CHERRAE. And Facebook is just Cherrie McRae. I don't know. I don't use anything else. And then, let's see. Website is www.cherriemcrae.com. That's just a collective of everything that my ensemble from probably 2015. And so what's coming up? Ooh, such a difficult question. Not difficult, but difficult. So what's coming up? Let me see the order. So Young Rock was just out, guys. You can actually see that on streaming Peacock. I am episode 2, season 3. What's coming up next is a thriller called Kindred. and I'm recurring on that as Sabina, and that is a adaptation of a book, Kindred, Octavia Butler. That's coming out December 13th. Episodes roll out. And I also have another project, Saint X, which is also another suspense thriller. That is due to come out, I want to say, the top of the year. Awesome. And I think that's it. And then I was also in P-Valley. That wasn't a very big role, but if you care to indulge, that is season 2, episode 1.
Season 2 was great. I mean, season 2 was excellent.
Yes, and I'm so glad they got renewed. But that is pretty much it for me for now. Right now, your girl is just auditioning / working, because auditioning is work. And that's pretty much it.
All right. Well, we thank you for coming in and joining us.
Such a pleasure for having me.
Yeah, we got some real good gems and wisdom out of you. So we appreciate that for our listeners. S. Where can the people find you? Let's just remind them.
Let's just remind them. Okay, so on Instagram, I am Lady, LADYSDOT Lee, Lady S. Lee. On Facebook, I am Lady S. Lee. Twitter, I'm Lady S. Lee, and that's it.
Okay.
Well, it's like the older you get, you don't really do all that TikTok and Snapchat. Sorry, y'all.
Now you know where to find these lovely ladies to pick up more jewels and wisdom and keep up with what they have going on. Make sure to definitely go follow Miss Cherrie and keep up with all the new things that she'll have coming out. And you can find me on official Dom Santana on IG and just Dominic Santana everywhere else. Make sure you go to my OnlyFans for the feet pics. I got feet pics for sale.
No way, look with the black nail polish.
With the black nail polish.
Let me see what you got going.
But no, I'm kidding. If you go to OnlyFans looking for my feet, you're not gonna find them. But so, anyways, we thank you for joining us. Time is the greatest currency, so thank you for paying us with your greatest currency. And we truly, truly appreciate you. So please like, subscribe, and share on YouTube or whatever you're listening to us on podcast. Make sure you keep up with us, and we will see you on the next one. Your presence required in Zombieland. So welcome to Zombieland. These zombies is always a part of their grave. Walking around, fronting and stunting redundant, but looking real lame. Nobody believing you, people deceiving you, leading you on with this nonsense. Hate me to dumb if you're dreaming, you already dead and it's only your conscience.